the word for it? Whatchamacallit? Jelly roll dust. I have jelly roll dust all over my chair from working this week. Hi, everybody. I'm Tiffany. Welcome to my quilting life. In today's video, I'm going to bind quilts. I didn't want to start nothing new because I have stuff going on in here, and I really didn't want to start nothing new. Plus, I have this stack that you see next to me, this lovely stack that needs binding. So I figure, well, you know what? Instead of starting something new, let me take the time and bind the quilt. So how many can I get done today? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine because I don't work as fast as normal lately because I'm still not brought up to strength yet. But hey, I'm working on it, okay? I'm waiting for this to work, but it's apparently not going to because I don't know why. Oh, look, there's a chat now. We got Barbara here, Mickey, Lillamore, Janine, Robin, Karen, Teresa, James, Donna, Vicky, Yvonne, that's my sister's name, and Mary, and so many more. Welcome, everybody. So today is just, feel free to chat in the chat, ask me questions, and I'm going to bind while sitting here. I'm going to start off with a baby quilt. Oh, shoot, I forgot to bring my little things down. I've decided to start writing on tags as I put them on quilts instead of waiting till later at the last minute.
Somebody came in to say hi as you start.
Somebody has come in to say hi.
Mama want to hold it or should I?
You can just hold them. Still can't pick them up yet.
Oh, you can't? He's too big.
Say hi, Dumpy. Say hi, everybody.
He says, I'm soon a birthday boy.
It's almost my birthday. I get that boy. Oh, I get him. Oh, I get him right there. Oh, yeah. Oh, move that. Oh, yeah, you want the chin? He loves to be pet. All right. I am going to write on this tag with my fabric marker. Oh, first I got to sew it. But Scott's in my way. That way I know where my
can't just throw him on the
stitching is. Oops, I better put this on a different stitch, though. All right. What one is this one? This is the angel one, huh? Yep. This is an angel precious moments. I had these in my stash for a long time. They're precious moments panels that I had. And I decided finally to put them together into quilts. So if you don't remember precious moments, I made some. All right, this is, that marker is not going to work. Okay, let's find a different blue. Some of my fabric markers are going out. I think it's about time I get some new one. Ah, this one works. You know, I could do these things before the lives, but then people would want to know what kind of markers I use and so on and so forth. So I'm on here, and I will tell you I use Lelix. My daughter bought them for me a long, long time ago, probably like 6 or more years ago, and guess what? They still work, some of them.
They were probably bought at Ross.
Yeah, they were probably bought at Ross.
But we don't know.
Yep. Sometimes I have to double write over them because the markers aren't as bright as they used to be. I'm just writing Precious Baby 2026. Because technically it's a baby quilt, so. And then signing it. Ta-da! All right, that one is ready for me to attach. So what's everybody been up to? As you can tell, I've been up to quilting. I'm getting quilting done because I have a project going on in here, so I might as well do quilting as my part of my other things I do when I'm working on projects in here. Sometimes when I need to do something different, it's just I load the long arm and quilt. All right, tag is going to go down here at the bottom. I always put the tags down on the bottom sides. And then binding. These were real easy makes. Gave me something to do. Plus I, been cleaning up my fabric room like, I gotta make this stuff that I have in these piles. About right there. All right, let's get started. Some binding. Woohoo! This is probably the most easiest step of making a quilt, in my personal opinion, is finishing it off with some binding. Probably the fastest step also, at least in my sewing room it is. I need a better table. Yes, it's a 2.5-inch binding. Yes. So 99% of the time I use 2.5-inch binding. The only time I use 2.25 is when I'm making wall quilts. Everything else gets 2.5. Even when I make flange binding, I make it to be 2.5 inches. Oh, it was just a thread. Oh, it did run out now. Woo-hoo. It sounded like it was dingle-danging in there. It was going click, click, click. The machine doesn't go click, click, click. That's just what the sound of an empty bobbin sounds like inside the machine in my brain. Like it just makes this weird little clicking around sound. I ran out just a smidgen ago. Cut the excess off. So, anybody else sewing while you're hanging out today?
Sometimes. Maybe going and going on. Maybe laying out projects.
Installing a doorknob while hanging out with me. That's fun. Crocheting. You know, the one or two things that I just cannot do is crochet and knit. People have asked me over the years, and I'm like, I just can't do it. I was at Becca's and I was crocheting while she was on live stream or whatever. And I was attempting to crochet and it turned into a ball. How I crocheted a circle, I don't know, but I did. I wasn't trying. I was trying to do chains. And they still end up circular. Where's this end? There. Look at there's so much of the jelly roll fuzz that's all over the binding too.
Goodness gracious, what you been doing?
My goodness. That's what you get when you get pinked edges on pre-cuts. You get a disaster.
No wonder I was sneezing in here.
Yeah, this room is covered in it. And it really sucks because Scott just vacuumed everything and I go and mess it all up.
You should have told me I would have vacuumed again before live, because now Thumper's laying in it.
Yeah, well, the problem is I'm going to be doing it all over again, so there's no sense. Because I still am working with jelly rolls. I just use the tail end of the binding to cut the size of the binding. Get this out of my way, change my stitch length, hook them together, and continue on. I'm so used to doing this, it's like second nature. Actually, everything in quilting is now like second nature, you know? Should finger press that. I usually sew binding on, by the way, with a 2.5 stitch length. And then top stitch it with like a 3.0, but if I forget, then it just gets top stitched with a 2.5. Huh?
How are you connecting the binding at the end?
How am I connecting it? I'll show you up close on my next one.
Yeah, I was going to say, we bring
Yeah,
camera
I
down.
already did it. I'll move the camera though when I do the next one. Now to top stitch.
You can always move the camera.
Yep, we can always move the camera. After years of doing this, I'm so used to it. It just goes amazing. Binding that I'm using is the same as I used to border the panel. because I didn't have a lot of the Precious Moments extra fabric to work with, so I had to add to by finding a fabric that looks like it goes with it, but it really doesn't. Is it necessary to cut binding on the bias? No. Only when doing curved quilts or scalloped edges, you know, which makes a curved, or curved corners. When you're just binding an average, everyday square or rectangular quilt, you just need strips, 2.5-inch strips from with the, you know, with the fabric. So from selvage to selvage. And you can use 2.25-inch too, but I like 2.5. It's better for arthritic fingers, so less struggle with trying to hold it over and keep it down as I'm sewing it. And anything smaller than 2.25 is really tough. I've done it, but it's tough.
Is it bothering you to pull and tug on the quilt?
Not this, because this is a very light quilt. So I put 100%. If you guys didn't know, I use Helon brand. It's my favorite. I've tried Hobbs, Quilter's Dream, Quilter Select, Quilter this. I've tried all those different battings, and I have landed permanently on Helon brand, and we buy it at Walmart. Unless something else is on sale somewhere else, it's pretty much my go-to batting. And you know what? Everything that I put it in, even those of you who've gotten quilts and got me heavily quilted your quilt for you, they're still super flowy. They're lightweight. It just helps. It helps the quilt not be super heavy. And since this is a baby quilt, the lighter weight, the better. Because you're not trying to put a, 7-8 pound quilt on your toddler that's 2 years old. You know what I'm saying? So this one is a small one, but I do have bigger ones. The bigger they are, the heavier the quilt. But with the batting that I use, they're not horrible at all. And it's very good brand. It doesn't, that's what's right here on the wall. And I gotta say, this has lasted just as a wall, what is the design wall? This has lasted as a design wall. It's been pulled on, tugged on, and shoved back behind the shelves as much as possible, and it still has yet to fall apart. And it's not even inside something. So, I mean, this stuff lasts a long time. Very nice batting. Trust me. And I like the feel. There's one, like Nature's Select, I think. I don't like the feel of that stuff. I think that's what it's called. Ooh. Yeah, we got some of it before, and it was really rough. And sometimes clients that are local bring me their batting as well, and they use that. And I'm like, this stuff does not feel good. I'm not trying to dog on other battings, but I mean, maybe it's just the way that they're pressed together. I don't know how that works when they make batting. But there are some that just don't feel good. Especially off-brand. When I first started quilting, I used a lot of off-brand batting and just go buy some batting at the quilt store, at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, wherever it was on sale, I'd buy some. And I gotta tell you, the Helon brand is the one that kind of stuck with me. Their 80/20 feels amazing. I don't know if you guys have ever felt it, but it's an amazing feeling. It's even softer than the cotton. Like, it's crazy. Yep, so that's what I'm using. So it's not heavy to lift and move. think I have Quilter's Dream up in the closet. That's a heavier weight, but a little on the stiffer side of batting. It feels nice. It's not horrible. I think I might have some of that other one down in the pile. I could show you guys on camera what it looks like. Coming up on where I started. And one quilt down. So there it is. It's cute.
You want me to hold it?
No, I got it. So you can see, try not to rub the microphone, my border around it, I chose because it kind of matches the blocks that are, you know, the cute little design that's in there. So it kind of reads orange, but it's yellow on yellow. But it's reading the orange color that they have in there. And it has green stripes in it, which kind of look like the green that's in the other things.
Your camera's not doing it justice at all.
Yeah, no, this looks better in person. And then here's the back, more Precious Moments fabric. I ran out of what I used in the border and on the back, so I had to improvise with a different Precious Moments. So it literally says Superstar Precious Moments on the back, but hey, you do what you gotta do with what you got. Because I didn't have enough. So there's one down. This is a 47 by 56 inch quilt. I'll trim all the little thingies. I do that later. All right, what was I going to show batting real quick? Because I want you guys to see this. Here's that crap stuff. And here's Pellon. Grab a good piece of it. I'm going to come around to the camera so I can show you guys this.
Don't step on someone's tail.
So here's this. I don't remember the brand name of it, but do you see that camera to focus? It's kind of rough. It feels really gross in my fingers. Like it's got some weird feeling to it. It feels like fresh cotton, you know, right off the picking. That's what it feels like. And it's got little what is it called? Pilling all over it. The other side looks smooth, but it's not. It still has that feel to it. And see how easy that tears? This stuff falls apart really easily. Here's the Pellon. Really, really nice. It's so soft. Like you could rub this on your skin soft. And then the other side has it looks like pilling, but it's not. It's where it's the needle punched, you know. But this stuff does not tear. Like that was a lot of effort. This stuff is really nice, really soft. I'm not trying to sell you on it, but I bet if you switched to it and started using it in your quilts, you would love it. And the flow, here's this, it's kind of stiff, see? And this one flows nice. Stiff, flows nice. It's just, I don't know. I don't like the feel of it. It feels gross. And I'm pretty sure that's Quilter's something. But yeah, it's disgusting. All right, next quilt. Another Precious Moments quilt. All right, let's write on this tag. What is this one? I'll show you. This one's a little bit smaller.
Oh, that's pretty with the duck.
It's the little girl with the duck.
She's got a ducky.
Again, I added this pink color because it looks like this pink color around it, and then its matching fabric is also on the back as well as the border. I had enough to do both. And then this is just getting that same whatever. So let's find a pink color for this one's tag. a mess, why don't you? I think I'm just going to write the same thing on this one, precious baby.
Thumper's sneezing now.
Yeah, Thumper's sneezing.
You got everybody in here sneezing.
Yep, this room is very dusty right now. You know, I don't even think I have any more precious moments panels left. I think I finally used the two that I had.
Really? You finally got rid of them all?
There might be some more precious moments fabric, but I think that's the last of the panels.
Well, that's good. The whole point was to use it up.
Yep. The whole point was to finally use it all. Get them used and made into something instead of sitting on a shelf in a room collecting dust. They are older. They're from 2000. I was going to say 20, but it's 2000. It's from the year 2000. Oops, I got to sign it. Oh, those go over there. All right, trim the tag down. I make the tags too big and then I trim them down to 2 1/8 inch. All right, find the bottom corner when it's right side up. That's the bottom. Here. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way and I'll bring the camera around so that you can watch me bind really fastly. Like, oh, okay, he's going to bring it around.
Well, it's not like I do it much. I can move a camera. Mr. Thump will let me. Daddy, you gotta show me here with my pile of trash.
Yep, he's hanging out with the pile of trash.
He's coming over here. He wants to see what Mama's got.
All right, so binding. When attaching binding, first you make your 2 1/2 inch binding, hook them all together end to end to end with a diagonal seam. There's a seam that you can see. Once they are attached together, you take it over to the iron and you fold raw edges together, wrong sides together. That way your seam is hidden on the inside. Then you attach it. Always start with leaving a tail. I say leave, if you're a brand new beginner at this and you've never bound anything before, leave a 10-inch or so tail. You're going to line the raw edge of the binding up with the raw edge of your quilt. And then stitch with a 1/4 inch seam. I do slightly bigger than a 1/4 inch seam, so that way it doesn't feel like there's a whole bunch around the front. But it's just slightly bigger. It's not, I don't even think it's 3/8, but it's just slightly bigger than, you know, probably millimeters bigger. I always back stitch and then I get going. When I'm holding my binding in my fingers, I'm literally holding it and letting it slide through my fingers while adjusting. So I have the quilt between my middle finger and my first, and then between my first finger and my thumb is where the binding goes. And I can continuously, by adjusting the quilt with this hand, with my left hand, I can continuously align it up just like this, and sew it on. Here to this end, I stop a 1/4 inch from the edge. I don't even bother trying to sew off the corner. I did for a while, but that means I would have to move my magnetic seam guide, so I'm used to knowing where there's a 1/4 inch right here. So I just one stitch there, take a stitch back, stitch forward. So it's stopped a 1/4 inch before the edge. So now I'm going to take the binding right here. We're going to take it with our right hand and go over itself like this, bringing it to a corner. And you're going to make a nice straight line from here with the binding and down there. Push it down like this, and you can see I came out exactly at a 1/4 inch, so everything lines up nice. Give this a nice smush. There is your miter, and then put your fingers right on top of it. Find the edge with your fingernail if you have fingernails, folding it over on top of itself again. So coming to the left, and then I pull my fingers out very carefully, like right there. And now this edge should be lined up, and this edge should be straight. So now you'll have this flap here, like this, keeping it down like this. Slide it under the machine, come in from the edge. No need to start in a 1/4 inch. Just start right off the edge, back stitch, and then continue on. Works best if you have the quilt in your lap to speed sew through it. It's also a lot easier with smaller quilts as opposed to big quilts. But I just let it run through my fingers and adjust as I get to the machine. I'll stop a 1/4 inch from the edge, back stitch, pull away, take it. I'm literally holding it the right way, just taking it to the right some more. Push it down so it's lining up at the corner. Nice straight edge right here. Fold it. Turn, I just hold it down with my fingers, turn the whole entire thing, place it under, start my stitch, place the quilt on the lap, and again, continue on. Coming to an edge. I do have a seam landing in the edge. Sometimes with smaller quilts, they always land at the edge. The other one had it right on the corner of it. This one's landing in the middle, but that's okay. You do the same thing. You just come to the edge, make your stitch, put it down. You can see my seam is right here. It does not matter. Just gonna fold it over just the way I would any other time. And then hold it down, turn, and start again. Sometimes if your seam is too bulky, make sure that you're only having a 1/4 inch of a seam allowance in your seams, so that way it's less bulky. Is this the side I started on? No, okay. I had to make sure what side I started on. This is the top or the bottom, I don't know. That extra lovely thread that's being picked up off my floor. And I had seams in almost 2 of the corners of 4. Go figure. Oh well.
What padding do you like best?
I like 100% cotton. I like using all the time because that's what people want. But I don't mind using 80/20, especially for winter quilts because it's heavier and denser, so it keeps you warmer. And poly, the 80/20 is great for quilting. So is regular plain polyester. Great. A layer of cotton and a layer of poly is just perfect. But if you just want to do polyester only for like amazing show quilting with lots of puff, then you would use polyester only, but like a 4 or a 6 ounce. Oh, that looks so amazing. Normally, it's only an 1/8 inch for polyester. And most batting is only an 1/8 of an inch. Where did I start? I'm going to come to about right here, back stitch, move that out of my way, and this is how I join. So here's my start, I'm going to lay that nice and flat. I'm not yanking it, like going like this. I'm just laying it nice. Oh, I better straighten this edge up.
What did you use for Ian's gravity quilt?
Ian's gravity quilt got cotton in it. And it flows amazing. He loves it. All right. Oh, yeah, he's got cotton in his. The Pellon cotton. Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. All right, now I'm going to bring the other end to me so that I don't even use rulers anymore. I just use the binding. We're going to open this up. I'm going to lay it right here on the edge that I just made sure is nice and straight. Try not to adjust anything. I'm going to lay this on that edge, touching. Then I'm going to take this top piece and smooth it out, fold it over just like this, meeting up with this edge now. So one side is touching that edge and the other is this edge. It's nice and square. Slide the scissors in and make the cut. 99.9% of the time it lands and I don't have to cut any extra off. So that's what I have left. I'm just going to toss that out of the way. Combining them. This is the part that confuses most people. We're going to take this top one. You're going to open it up. So there's your opening. And flip it to where your mountain is on top. This is the easiest way to do it for me. I don't like doing it any other way. Mountain is on top. Now, scrunch up the quilt, grabbing this piece. It's still nice and straight. Open it up. So there's your opening. Put this mountain on the bottom and make an L. So you're laying it on the corner. Just as when you're joining your strips, this is the same exact thing. Now I'm going to sew from this corner to this bottom corner. I'm going to literally, change my stitch length a little because or else it's going to be wide. Notice I'm just holding the quilt too. I don't have to pinch it or nothing. I'm just holding it with the palm of my hand. I'm lining my corner up with my seam tape and sewing from one corner to the other. Now, if you want to make sure that you did not screw up, open it up and see how it sits nicely in there. And if it does, then you just move that out of the way and cut your 1/4 inch seam. This part is never perfect, but it's close enough and that's all that matters. And while it's bunched up, finger press it. I don't think you really need to take it to an iron because either way it's getting sewn. And then I'm just going to put my guide back up because I am a really lousy piecer without it. And now it's connected, so I'm just holding down where, my space was. And then just running it through. And see, I have a little bit of a puff going on. Just slightly. But see, that's on the inside. And it'll be just slightly on the outside. So that I should have cut a little extra off. It went a little too far, but that's okay. When I'm sitting here, I don't feel like it really even matters. All right, I'm just using white thread because that's what I quilted this quilt with, is white thread. So just using white thread to top stitch as well. So I'm just pulling it from the back as far in as I can pull it. Some people like to press it and fold it over and then iron it with some glue, but I don't do that. Some people do all sorts of different things. They sew with it from the back side underneath where you're blindly stitching this. I like to sew from this side. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. To the top stitch this, I like to swipe my finger. It swipes all those loose threads. And then I fold it over nicely. And with my left hand, I'm holding the binding straight and flat, allowing me to speedily stitch through this. So I'm just holding it and moving my fingers as I go. See? And that's okay. I messed my stitch length up. I was wondering why I was stitching so many stitches. Because I'm messing it up. That's okay. It's a baby quilt. I'm going to do this all the way until the edge is now on my table. Once the edge is on the table, I'm going to take the bottom corner, always the bottom corner, because this stops the bulk from being on one side. So I take the bottom, grab it to the front, hold it down. I got seams in all my corners, so I'm making it work even with the seams. I'm going to fold this over and hold it tight, just with my finger. I'm going to come right up to it, very carefully and I'm going to stitch one stitch into this side and then back out, in and back out, twice. That way that corner is double tacked down, and then I just repeat. So I'm just doing this. I'm pivoted. And let me get it far enough to where you can see where that seam landed in the corner. So it's still a little bulky. So there's a seam in this corner, but see, it's flat because the bottom came up first. So this side came up first, and then this side went on top of it. So it allows it to be flat. Even though I had a seam landed right there, it's still flat on both sides. If that seam wasn't there, it'd be flatter. I haven't really precisely figured out the continuous sewing for binding where I can continually sew, because this has to be held down or else it'll bunch up, and we don't want that. But I can do it pretty quickly. I am literally stitching 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So let me hold that up now that I can get it close to the camera. Since I'm using white thread, you should be able to see it's 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So there's a little tiny lip. I'm waiting for the camera to catch up. It's not going to catch up. And then there's a stitch that's on the back side all the way around. If you were to blindly stitch it from the back, you could stitch in the ditch. But then your front stitch is going to be way over here instead, like about right here instead. And then you'll have a very big lip. So you definitely want to just stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Who cares about that extra stitch all the way around? And since the back of this is white and I'm using white thread, it really doesn't matter. All right, here we go. Next corner. This one does not have a seam. Oh, no, it does have a seam. There it is right there. Remember, I said 2 of the 4 corners have seams, so I'm just folding the bottom up and the side, pushing it in. My corner lands perfect every single time. I'll stitch to it, in it, out it, twice, and then pivot and stitch. One of these corners is not going to have a seam.
Okay. I have a baby quilt.
You have what?
I have a baby quilt pre-quilted that has 3 1/3 inch scalloped edges. I want to embroider the baby's name, birth weight, and birth date. What stabilizer would you use?
A baby quilt that's already quilted, and you want to embroider the baby's name on it?
Yes. What stabilizer would you use?
I don't know what stabilizer to use on an already quilted quilt. If you're embroidering directly on it, I would use that stuff that washes away, that you put on top, obviously, and then a tearaway on the back, I think. But you would see the embroidery on the back. I don't know. I don't know what you would use, because you would see the embroidery
Yeah,
on
if
the
it's
back.
already quilted, I would.
If it's already quilted, I don't know. I would just add a tag instead. If you haven't bound it yet, you know. But I'm not sure. I've never embroidered on a finished quilt. I've never even embroidered on a towel. I don't know how that works, or how it even looks, or what you're supposed to use. Maybe somebody in the chat that embroiders 100 times more than I do would know, because I don't know. I would embroider on a quilt, like when I did a quick, fast, and a hurry baby quilt video. I embroidered on the fabric before making the quilt. That way it was already set into it. Right, folding this edge up. This one does not have a seam. It's a miracle. Just pushing that down in. any like long threads, oops, I pull them out. Push into the corner, folding it right over, and it lands at a 45-degree miter every single time. Pivot. As soon as it's done, I'll show you the difference between one with a seam at the corner and one without a seam at the corner. I need to get it far enough over. I'm on my last side. So this one does not have a seam. There's no bulk. Anytime this little piece gets folded over, I just take some snips, hook it into that corner, and then it becomes flat. Super, super flat. Here's one with a seam in the corner. See, less bulk. This one's thicker. And this one's just super duper cornery, perfect flat. But this one's still flat. It's just not, you know, it does have a seam right there. And then my miter is like literally right on the edge. It perfectly touches. I'm really good at this. Over the years, it's become like, you know, the most easiest thing for me to do. And fastest. Like I said, this is the quickest step of quilting. I think I spend less time binding than I do quilting the quilt even. Because it took me 15 minutes to quilt this quilt. And yeah, the binding is taking less than 15 minutes if I wasn't describing to you as going. So here's the last corner. Again, bottom up. And I give it a little tug to pull it up so that way it's nice and flat. And I just kind of hold it. This corner automatically folds itself nicely, and then just pinch it over and hold it down. 99.9% of the time, it's going to land right here perfectly. And since I want to make sure it's fully tacked down, I do those back stitches because this is open. I don't stitch this closed, so you can stick things in there, see? You can stick things in there, and you don't want it to rip off, so that's why I back stitch right there. Okay, pivot and stitch to where I started, because I think this is my last side. It is. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that starting thread. Come on, get off of there. So I don't have a pucker on this front side at all. It landed perfectly. It's hidden on the bottom inside of it. I always pull my binding away, the stitching, instead of using the thread cutter. This allows me to get the whole entire stitch, and I always back stitch too. So there's the end. The pucker is on the back right here. Just a slight little pucker. It's not even a big ordeal, but nothing puckered on the front, which is perfect. So let me see if I can't get this to focus. So here's a corner with a seam. See that? So it's slightly thicker. See that right there? And then here's the one, another one without the seam. Let's see if I can't get these two side by side so that you can see. See, the seam landed in that one, but not in this one. So this one is flatter. But it allows that bulk when you go from the bottom up first, because your initial turn was from the top over. So your bottom would be from the bottom up, if that makes any sense at all. That way you have less bulk in your corners. All right, you can put this back so I can hold this so they can see. Fully bound. This quilt is 41 by 49 and a half. And see, it's very flowy with that batting in it. That's why I love this batting. So this one's just a cute little, and later I'll go through and get all these extra threads. And then the back is the same It's the matching fabric to it because I had the matching fabric. Okay, all done. Next is a quilt you've never even seen me make.
They didn't see you make the.
No, this one. Oh, they didn't see me make those either.
They didn't see you make a purchase one for me.
All right. This one I call Love Notes. This one's a pretty awesome one.
These are all for sale.
They're all for sale. I'll show you this whole quilt at the end after I attach the binding. All right, let me do my tag real quick. Right on my tag. I need black for this one. Yes, I use black Sharpies because I don't have black on my markers. That one went out years ago because I used it so much.
What's the name of it?
This one's called Love Letters.
Love Letters. Oh, I like that.
You'll see what I mean when I hold it up. You saw me make one of the blocks and actually gave some away at Valentine's Day. So if you remember, was it this Valentine's Day or the previous? I think it was last year's Valentine's Day.
Last year's, because I don't remember it.
I'm using a fine tip Sharpie, by the way. They work just fine on fabric. The only reason why I buy the fine tip actually is to write on fabric with them. Because we buy a lot of Sharpies around here. Because I hand write all the mail that goes out, I hand write all that. This is the part that takes me a minute.
It's taking you as long to write the tag as it is to
Yeah. Takes me a while.
Can I put a link in for the Love Notes wall hanging?
Yeah, Love Notes wall hanging. Well, this one's Love Letters.
It was breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah, I usually don't do themed stuff. Lately, I have been doing themed things, you know, Halloween and Valentine's Day and I haven't done anything for St. Patty's Day though yet. I don't have enough St. Patty's Day, even scraps I don't. Either way, been doing it for all sorts of things lately. All right. I'm going to open this up. I'll show you what it looks like. This one is quilted. I call this medium quilting. Yeah, you're going to have to. Since we're opening it up to see it. This is me taking those love notes and turning it into letters. See, I made letter paper with hearts on it. And then it's quilted with a edge to edge all over feather. All right. And then the back is really pretty. It doesn't go with it, but it goes with it, if that makes any sense. And it's getting pink binding. Where'd my tag go?
I don't know. Is it underneath the whole thing?
There it
Yep,
is.
It's right there.
I thought I set it right here in front of me, but I guess not. So I do have a video showing you how to make them, but I had so much leftover fabric. I was like, I'm going to make a big quilt out of the rest. And I did that off camera. And then Scott was like, you should have done that on camera. I was like, well, it's already done now. And it finally got quilted because it's been sitting in the closet this whole time. All right, that is attached. We are going to hope that these don't end up in corners, these lovely seams. I didn't have any more Moda Grunge to bind this with. I'm completely out of it. So this is just getting plain pink that literally looks the same color. So that's a plus. All right, here we go. Get started. I'm not as quick with the bigger the quilt is, the harder it is to sew the continuous sewing, the binding on. It can be done, but it's not as fast because I have to adjust more. Huh?
Stay in your way?
Oh yeah, just put them over there first.
Yep, that's what I was going to do.
For now. Yeah, I managed to get, I need to, I'm trying to re-get my body used to being at the long arm now, you know, because I have stuff that I really want to do, you know, some show quilting on, and I can't do that if I am not even used to standing at the frame. So I gotta quilt things up to get myself back on track, if that makes any sense body-wise, you know. And now you guys know why I use a seam guide, because of the way I sew. That way I can be as sloppy as I want and it's always straight. Nice straight seam. It's always consistent. Plus this pink looks really pretty with the back fabric too. My hair. Nobody wants my hair. Sewn into everything I do though. Oops, I went too far. And when I go too far accidentally, I just unpick the one stitch that I went too far with. Perfect. Oh, this is a whole side. Never mind. I was thinking to myself, where in the world did I start? But that's the next side. It knotted itself.
Interesting. Do you need me to come and unknot it? You got it?
I got it. Oh, I'm hoping this is enough. Should be, yeah, that's plenty. I've been short on binding a few times, you know. Then I started using the Robert Kaufman app all the time, so now I'm usually not off. I get it right most times now. So if it's off, it's the app's fault. Oh, I can stop there. All right. Lay that on there. Open the end up. Place it on the edge.
The binding got its knickers in a twist.
Yeah, it got itself into a twist for sure.
Knickers in it.
Knickers in a twist. I like that.
Hey. Come on, that was fun.
Yes, it's funny. It's funny. It's funny, honey. And I had no seam land in a corner on this one because the bigger quilts, the less likely chance of it happening if you start, you know, far enough up. All right. Flipping it over to do the front. I love the quilting on this one. I like to do feather all the whole thing, you know. Always looks so cool. Normally I wouldn't use white binding so far on all these, but this white blends with this pink binding really good too. It's light pink, but the next one is black, so I'm gonna have to swap to black. And I also need glasses to do this because I cannot see the white thread on the pink. I did on the last pink because it was darker. But this pink is not.
You tried to work out this morning?
I worked out this morning. I don't know what good it did. It made my back hurt.
But you tried.
But I tried.
You got some stretching in?
I can at least stretch my body now. You wanted to know how my healing is going. My incisions are fully healed, so now I can put my arms above my head and tip them back and stretch myself back. It's a miracle. It's been a long time coming, you know, over a month of not being able to stretch your body. And I laid on the floor today and I stretched in as much stretching as I could possibly stretch. It made me feel better until I started working out, and then I made my back hurt. Go figure. I haven't worked out in a long time, so I'll get there eventually. I need to get these muscles and my chest retrained, because right now it feels like I got rubber in my chest. Like it just feels weird because of the way everything's healing. Can't show you that. But at least I attempted some working out, and I won't do it every day, maybe every other 2 days or so, because I don't want to overwhelm my chest muscles that were fully repaired. This is enough workout right here, and I have been air sewing because I'm talking and not paying attention.
It happens.
And get a bobbin out. This is what, the third bobbin change? Second bobbin change? I think this is the second bobbin change.
I haven't been counting that.
Now let's see if I can go right back on those air stitched holes. That's okay, I didn't get too far. I'm at where I air stitched to. Completely passed. You would never know. Whoa, not on the floor. It's okay, I have to shake all this stuff off because of the amount of pinking fabric dust is all over this room. Just dragging it everywhere.
Why do they do that pink edges crap?
The pinked edges is to keep it from fraying in all the shipment and packaging and all that stuff, or else the fabric will fray like crazy.
Okay.
So if you didn't know that, that's why there's pinked edges. It keeps the fabric from fraying between all the processes. Because now a lot of the pre-cut companies that always pre-cut things, they lay it on a giant machine, stack all the fabrics up, and then the machine head comes over, stamps it with all the pre-cut sizes, and then it shoes on to the next part where they, the cardboard and everything's already under it, so it slides it over, and then the person puts it through shrink wrap and whatever each section that's cut off. So all that takes that chance of getting what's the word for it, fraying, because fabric frays pretty easily. There are some fabrics that don't fray very bad, but then there are lots of fabrics that do fray a lot. So to keep it from fraying, by the time it reaches your sewing room, they make pinked edges. And then pinked edges are never what they say. The ones I'm currently working with are 2 5/8 inches. Yeah, that's right. A whole 1/8 of an inch bigger than what it is supposed to be. So everything that I cut, because I didn't want to have to cut the pinking off the sides, I decided to make the size cuts I needed that 5/8 bigger on the sides. I mean, make it an 1/8 of an inch bigger on the sides. Yep. So just know that with some companies, the inside of the mountain is the measurement, and some companies, the outside of the mountain on the pinking is the measurement. Just depends. I've gotten pinked edges where it was very, very deep of a pinked edge. Like, what? I've never seen that before. I'm like, oh, now I have. These ones were the tiny, tiny ones, but it made it still bigger. Like the piece itself was cut bigger. So don't trust all pre-cut sizes because they might not all be true. Getting worn out now with this one. The bigger the quilt, the more I get worn out. I'm literally picking fuzz from all this stuff as I go because it picked it all up off the floor.
Have you ever heard of sewing mates?
Have I ever heard of sewing mates? Are you talking about the magnets? What are those? I have some. So, oops. So tights is what I have a couple of. I don't even know where they are. They're somewhere in this room. I think they're in a box or something over there. I don't have much of them. I don't really ever use them though because the magnet in the sew tights gets stuck to the machine bed. So I tend not to use that stuff. I only have a couple of them. They're purple hearts. Great idea, but it doesn't work with all machines if you have it on. It gets stuck. Was this my last side? Yep. Oh my goodness, come on. So I leave basting stitches in the quilt, you know, before binding because it keeps it together before you even get the binding on. But sometimes they break as I'm doing this and then they get long tails. And I'm a sloppy baster on my long arm, so they're never within the 1/4 inch of the seam. So after the fact, once I get the binding on, I have to go through and get all the basting stitches around the backside that are visible on this back section, you know, that you see. Sometimes the basting stitches are visible, so I have to go through and check them all because I don't like leaving them there. They're in the binding, but they're hidden there. Just don't want them being showing. All right, coming up on my starting point. The one place I actually stitch slower. All right, another one down.
Another one bites the dust.
All right, this is what it looks like with the binding now. This quilt is 61, oh no, is that a one? Yeah, 61 by 71.
It is for sale.
Look at that. Nice pink. It goes great with this pink, the Moda Grunge. I love it. I need to get some more grunges, I think. Next time I find them on sale, I need to buy some because I tend to use all of everything I ever get.
I love your quilting on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Show the quilting up close. Like a
That pink?
section of it so they can see.
With the pink thread and everything. It looks
He's going to
cool.
come up close so you can see the quilting.
That's what I'm gonna do. Just get the other quilt over here. It's on the floor.
He's showing it. Or at least attempting to. Can you see that? It's an all over double bump feather that just scatters its way throughout the whole thing. And it goes in different directions, so it gives it that really lavish look, I think is what you would want to call it. It looks very, very professional. Next.
It's a
Oh,
Tiffany
I can't
product.
do this one until I do the big one because I don't know how much is going to be left.
Oh, so this one's not next?
Nope, the bigger one is next.
Okay, do you want me to pick it up off the floor for you?
All right, you guys remember
You
the
don't hurt yourself?
most previous project, the
Last
most
Sundays.
last Sunday's project got quilted with the stars called Stargazer. Oh wait, I want black thread. Oh, time to switch out to black thread. Now I gotta find what drawer it's in. Ah. I don't have any black bobbins wound. I'm gonna roll 2 bobbins because the quilt itself is 67 by 81, so that'll use a whole bobbin. And then the small quilt that I made from it also got quilted, so I'm gonna, but I gotta do this first because I don't know how much extra binding I'll have. One more. Okay, machine. I gotta undo the pedal. The pedal is folded up underneath the hook. What keeps happening is, oh, can I get it? Up. My pedal, this thing that's supposed to be anti-slip, keeps literally folding and then getting stuck under in that gap right there, making it me think, oh my God, something's wrong with the machine, but it's really not. It's just stuck under this, and it makes it where you can't push the pedal down. So dumb. So if you have any of those like anti-slip things, just watch out because it does get stuck under there. It's not supposed to move, but it does. Oh, why did I even do that? That could just sit up there until I'm ready. Can't believe it. There's like a little bit over a month left, and I will be going on a cruise to Alaska with my friends and all sorts of quilters. It's gonna be so fun.
Work on our Bargello.
To work on our special Bargello for the Aurora Borealis. It's gonna be awesome. All right. So I like to use black thread on black fabric, especially with binding. You'll never see these stitches. you know, they blend in so good. One more stitch. I can't even see them myself. My glasses are on my head though. So once I start putting the binding on, I should probably use the glasses because I can't see the stitches. Also, to write on this tag, I specialty buy. This is a very hard marker to buy. It is a Sharpie and it is silver. It's very hard to find it anywhere. But this, Hobby Lobby sells them. And you can write on black fabric with silver Sharpie, which is perfect. Well, see, you can write on the back with black fabric. So if you ever need a marker and if you're ever like needing to be able to write on black, silver Sharpie.
Does your bobbin fill up all the way when you roll it?
Yes, the bobbin fills up all the way on this machine. I don't fill it all the way on my long arm because it gets stuck. All right, drop that down there for a second. I'm gonna find the bottom of this one somewhere. I'll hold this up when it's done, by the way. Oh, wow, there's such long threads right there. That was weird. Okay, that should be the top. That means that is the bottom. Down here. Oops, I got to trim the tag. At least I know the way it goes. Got that part out of the way. This quilt is bigger than the previous, so it's a little bit more heavier. The heavier they get, the harder, and I'm struggling right now still. All right, like I said, I'm not sure if I have enough binding for this one and for the little project because I ran out of the fabric and had to use the leftovers from another project. It was in the scraps, so I'm hoping that it's enough pieces. These are my string scraps. That right there. Where's that? I don't want the seams landing in the edge, so.
What do you do to your quilt to know what is the top fabrics?
Well, this is not directional fabrics, knowing if this is the top. This is a rectangle. So it doesn't matter which direction it technically is in, as long as the skinny part doesn't have the tag on it. It's the long down side that has the tag, if that makes any sense. So it doesn't matter which way it's used because the tag lands on the side of you when you're holding your quilt up against you, the short end, you know, so that the longer end covers your feet. But if the tag was at the top short end or the bottom end, then your feet are always flicking at it, or your head, wherever, you know what I mean? Like it's always pulled up to your head. I would rather have it on the sides of your body as opposed to your neck and your feet, if that makes any sense at all. Hopefully it does. this quilt is quilted with all over swirls. It's been a while since I've done swirls, but it was really giving my arm a nice workout with my muscles.
Yeah. Not bad.
Although my machine is super easy to move, and I've some of you out there that have been to my house and have touched my machine and moved it, you're like, oh wow, that is. It's a really easy to move machine. I can move it with my pinky finger. But the consistent motion of doing this, you know, that is what I'm working with, you know. It's actually a good thing to get. That's why I got all these quilts quilted, just to get that motion going. Get used to it again. I feel like I was out of practice when I did the couple I did after I had my surgery, right after. That like second week when the doctor said, oh yeah, you can work now. And I tried and it was hard. Took me, what was it, 3 days to quilt a little quilt. Remember that?
Yep.
So I was like, no, I'll just wait to long arm until then. So I literally had 4 weeks in between the last time I tried quilting. After the little one that goes with this, I'll only have one quilt left, and that one's a big one, which I probably won't get done in this video. There's no specific order, by the way, of the things that I am quilting. It's just when I hang something up in the closet, that's pretty much the order. So if there was a gap because of whatever, I always throw it in there. So there's no particular order. That's why this is last week's project getting quilted ahead of, you know, last year's projects. It's just because I don't move the old ones to the front and put the new ones in the back because I kind of want to get all of them done. So I'm pretty good though. I made good progress this week because I have 2 or 3 other ones I did. Other than just these that you're seeing today. my favorite part of the quilting process is all the process. The whole entire thing. I have no specific favorite. I like to choose fabric. I like to choose a pattern. I like to make up said pattern. I like to, cut the pieces. I like cutting a lot. I do cut on the side a lot, not on camera, because I cut scraps down, but it's not my favorite. But, there's no favorite. I like to cut. I like to piece. I love to quilt because it gives me free range to just scribble all over everything, and my way I do things. I love to bind because that's the fastest part, they're all great parts. And I would say my most favorite part would be gifting it to someone. But guess what? My family has enough and I have no more quilts for them at the moment. So I don't get to see smiles on faces. I did recently, though, give my friends, I have friends that are here locally that moved here. Well, they snowbird here now, permanently snowbird here, from South Carolina. And I gifted them one of my quilts. So, and the smile and happiness of her face, let me tell you, she was amazed. Yep. So I like the whole process. In the beginning, it was always the look on my family's faces, but I gave them so many quilts now that look is gone. you know. They're like, "Oh, Mom, really? Another one?" So now it's just the whole process is my favorite. Straighten that. It's a little crooked. That looks straight now. Okay, there seems to be enough for the next project, but we'll see. I'm hoping. Because I want them both bound in the same fabric. What am I doing? Changing the stitch length. Can't even see where that stitch ended. There it is. I get such clarity when I put the glasses on, but these are not the far ones, so I actually have to hold them down to see far. Because we don't want to ruin my vision or make me have blurred vision the rest of the day. You definitely don't want to wear your readers, consistently, because that will really ruin your eyes. That is definitely not a good idea. Alright, flipping it around. This quilt is so pretty. Wait till I hold it up. It came out amazing. I 100% love that. I love that I finished the star points in the border, which gave it that literally finished look, that we want when we make a quilt. We want those edges to look finished too. So that was like a smart thing to do. Alright. Get this on here.
to be cutting toward most of the fold-in pattern. I don't do small.
What size block for scraps to cut? That what?
Yeah.
That you cut that would be cut the most?
You cut the most. They don't do small.
10-inch and 5-inch squares. But right now I've been cutting 1.5-inch strips.
Yeah.
So by whatever, you know. So, but like, if you want quick, easy to go things, I would cut scraps into 5-inch squares and 10-inch squares because that gives you plenty of pre-cut patterns that you could make from those sizes. I mean, you can even cut 8.5-inch squares. Those are good for making forward-time flying geese. You can cut, I mean, whatever size you want, honestly. You can cut 3 by 3-inch by 5-inch rectangles because you can make, 3-inch by 5-inch flying geese out of those by having 3 by 3-inch squares to add to it to create, flying geese. And if you're doing scrappy, you could do a scrappy flying geese thing, So you cut I call them bricks, 3.5 by 5 and 3 by 5. I call those bricks because they're more brick-like shaped. But you can also do 2.5 by 2.5, 2.5 by 4.5, 2.5 by 6.5, 2.5 by 8.5, 2.5 by 10.5, and 2.5 by 12.5, and make yourself log cabins at your leisure whenever you want to. And I don't think 2.5-inch width is small, I think if that's the smallest you want to go, on the small scale. But that way you can make log cabins on the fly that are scrappy, Sky's the limit when it comes to all the different sizes you can cut that are bigger. Just got to think of the things that you want to make. What do you think you're going to be making the most of? Do you think you're going to be making layer cake quilts? Like, do you have a special layer cake pattern that you love to use, that you want to make over and over again? Then cut layer cake squares. If you make a lot of, like, say, table runners and wall hangings and things like that, then cut charm squares, which are 5-inch. That one just depends on what you like to do. I'm all over the place, so I cut all sizes. From 1-inch on up, I cut now pretty much all sizes. I don't cut triangles out, and I don't cut like diamonds shapes or any of that kind of stuff. That all can be cut from strip sets, making, like, say, my 2.5-inch strips, and I want to do a strip tube to make a quilt, then that would be from 2.5-inch strips that I would cut using my strip tube ruler. So I don't really pre-cut out diamond and triangle shapes. I don't hand piece, so I don't cut out hexagon shapes from my scraps. So, that's something other people do, though. I don't. But square-wise and rectangle-wise, I cut out all the shapes that could make something, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Because you don't need a pattern to make a log cabin, You don't need a pattern for a strip tube quilt. You don't really need a pattern for a layer cake quilt, but if you have a favorite one, like Layer Cake Madness is a lot of people's favorite by far, still to this day, then cut out scraps to always make that. And you can organize those scraps that you cut into colors too. So you could say cut all your scraps into 10-inch squares and then make a pile of all red 10-inch squares. All the fabrics that have reds in them, all the fabric that has pinks in them, all the ones that have oranges. And then you could just make whatever pattern from all reds. And then make another pattern that's all your oranges being used up. And then another pattern that uses up all the blue scraps, you know? I probably, if I would have started doing something like that and putting them in color piles, I think that would have probably made things easier, because right now it's just a big, huge bucket filled with 10-inch squares.
Are there any patterns made from 3.5-inch squares?
Any patterns made from 3.5-inch squares? Everything can be made from 3.5-inch squares, because all patterns can be sized down. That quilt, the quilt that I just did for the 4th of July, the friendship, whatever. I just did the 4th of July quilt.
You just did on 4th of July.
Yes. I just did that quilt, and it can be made from 3.5-inch squares. You just have to make your half square triangles for your friendship stars for that part. Those
friendship
star play, friendship star play. To make the stars, you would just take 4-inch squares to make your half square triangles, so that way you make 2 at a time of that. But you can do everything else in 3.5 and trim your half square triangles down to 3.5. So that's the quilt he's holding.
You guys forgot.
It did get quilted and bound already too, so. Yeah, that could be made. Anything that's made with squares, you can change the size to be made with a smaller square. You just need more of those smaller squares to make the size of the quilt that you want to make. So don't expect to get a 60 by 80 quilt out of 3.5-inch squares out of 60 3.5-inch squares, because it's not going to happen. That's very small. But yeah, you can make whatever you want out of whatever size you want to make it. There's lots of patterns out there that are 100% convertible. I make a quilt that's called the Carpenter Wheel Star, that big, huge quilt that I make with 10-inch squares. You can make that with 3.5-inch squares. You can make it whatever size you want. Any pattern that I give you guys and it starts with a square, just downsize the square to something else, you know? Like this pattern right here. You want to make it even smaller, but you want it to still be the same exact thing, this stargaze pattern. Instead of using the size that said to cut in the pattern, cut a smaller size. So instead of, say, a 10-inch square, you would cut a 7.5-inch square or 5.5-inch square, whatever you want to cut. And then your side square, if that was, say, a 5-inch rectangle, then you would just cut that half of the size like this. So this was like, say, 10 inches and 5 inches. You would just cut 5.5 inches and 2.5 inches. You know what I mean? Any pattern can be converted down to whatever size. And doing the math for all that is pretty simple too, because quilt math, 2 plus 2 is 3.5 in quilt math. So if you want to take a bunch of 2-inch squares and sew them together, and then use 3.5-inch squares as well and sew them together, a 4-patch of 2.5s, or a 4-patch of 2-inch squares, and with a 3.5-inch square mixed in, 2 and 2 is 3.5. So then 1.5 and 1.5 is not 3, it's 2.5. So think about it. You just knock a 1/2 inch. So the math is really easy to do. You just knock a 1/2 inch off of that size, you know what I mean? And that's what you get. Or off of that adding. So 10 and 10 is not 20. It's what? Think about it. It's 19.5. So you'll always be able to do your quilt math to get those sizes that you want. 3.5 and 3.5 is not 7. It would be, right? 3.5 and 3.5 is 7, right? Yeah. So it would be 6.5. 3.5 and 3.5 is 6.5. Yep. So then you can put 3.5-inch squares with 6.5-inch squares, and it would all work out. Yeah, I find quilt math used to be super hard for me. And now that I'm used to it and I work with all these numbers, I'm starting to just look at something and go, oh, well, if that square was a 2.5 to start, when you look at a pattern, you can automatically assume what that next piece is, because 2.5 and 2.5 is 4.5, not 5. So you automatically assume, oh, well, then that must be a 4.5-inch rectangle. So that piece looks like it's a 6.5 because that's the next number up, you know, when you go at working with 2.5s. Quilt math is actually a lot simpler than you think. I dread it so badly. Now when you get to eighths and all that, that's where I'm not that good with the eighths and stuff. So if something was like 2 1/8 and the other piece is 2 1/8, so that's 4 1/4. So then half, that would be 2 1/8. Yeah, 4 1/4 would be the size, you know, to get 2 1/8 inch pieces. So I'm like, eighths and stuff I'm not really good with yet. But, you know. And it's mainly only 1/8 and 7/8 are the numbers that are cut in patterns and math. I mean, there are some 3/8 and 5/8 cuts, but it's maybe mainly 1/8 and 7/8. And a lot of people say round up, but certain patterns you can't round up on your 7/8. You have to cut that 7/8 because when you add the two pieces that go into that to make that one number, it has to be correct, or else you're trimming things down and losing points and so on and so forth. And I would do a whole video on this, but I don't want to confuse anybody. But it is rather simple. I'm on the last part, and then we'll hold it up so you can see. And then if I have time, I will do the next one of these, the smaller project of this. Did you disappear on me? To hold this up. All right, here is Stargaze finished. So you can see right here, go down. You can see that I finished the points off, which, like right here as well, it helps that points be finished off in the border. And I just got that border number from half of this, and then added those same size points to it. So it's a little bit bigger than half of this, so that way the points didn't lose their points. Of course, they still do anyway because of the binding, but in the back of this one, you can see the quilting. So I did it in blue. It's called Royal. No. This one's in marine.
Marine, yeah.
The color thread is marine on this one, so that you can
awesome.
see my spirals. All right, last one, and then I think this will be done. There should be plenty left. This looks like plenty to go around this. Yeah, I have enough time to get it. Pretty sure. So that's 5 of 6 quilts then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because the 6th one I can't do. I don't have time for it. Plus it's bigger. It's the biggest one in today's stack. But I will get it done. Made my eyes blurry by looking not in my thing. And yes, I add tags to everything. I try not to forget. That's why I started doing it before I get the binding even on. I put tags on small quilts too. So I did finish the little small one. I'm not putting hanging hooks on it because if somebody might want to use this as a little newborn quilt, not wall hanging. So this is just users, choice. It's not really directional either.
It's pretty cool.
Okay. Get this on here. Littler projects, again, are a lot easier for me to get binding done pretty quick.
Seam guide are you using?
I'm using an elongated seam guide. There's no name to it. You can find them anywhere online. It's a magnetic seam guide. I stopped using the short one because I feel like my continuous sewing is better with the longer one. And since I do that a lot, it's nicer to have the longer one. Oh man, a seam at the edge. Probably should have laid that one out. Oh well, whatever. I'm used to it now. It happens with all the small quilts. Unless I pre-lay and binder clip all the binding on, you know? It's like, seriously? Which is what I do with most of like open gate video quilts. Those ones I pre-hook the binding on all the way around so that it doesn't land in a corner, because those typically have 2 1/4 inch binding. Look at that, I have plenty left. Good thing I added all my scraps to it. Oh, come on, stay flat, you lovely thing. There it is. See, I had that much left over, so I'm glad I added scraps to it because it made it allowing me to go on both of these. All right, after I sew this on, we're going to see how fast I can top stitch. Because I want to get it done before the end of the video. Go, Tiffany. Those there. Finger press the seam. Finish the seam and then top stitch. There we go. This one I use the color Arizona Sky thread color. I quilted swirls, but a different kind of swirl. This one's swirls with swirl hooks. Because I didn't want them to be the same.
Of course not.
I like to do different things.
Very unique.
Yep, want it to be different. So this one has a lot of sharp turns as opposed to the other one, which is nice and curvy flowiness. Yeah, I need to keep telling my brain. Sew scraps from project right then and there, you know, the next day after live stream when I go to come into my room to get things done. I need to sew my scraps then, at that point, you know? That way all of it is not going into my big, huge pile of scraps in my other room that I've been slowly cutting up. And this gets it all done, and it's controlled scrappy because it's the leftovers from my project, which never even went together in my own back quarter bundle from my pre-cut stuff that I make myself. I don't make all fat quarters myself, but some I do. There we have it. 5 quilts finished and bound in my 2-hour time frame. So this could either go this direction or it can go like this, you know? It don't really matter. That's why I didn't put hanging hooks on it, because it can go in either direction. And the back with this one, I used a red, which the quilting blends in, but you can see it on the front because I used that color Arizona Sky.
That is so cool looking.
When there's a lot of small pieces in a quilt, here's a tip for you when it comes to quilting. When there's a lot of small pieces like this in a quilt, I like to do a heavier or denser quilt design, because all of these seams, at some point of washing it, and continuous washing, at some point those seams are going to start getting looser because there's more of them. So beware, heavier design or stitch in the ditch, you know, whatever, as long as you're covering every single piece of fabric. I wouldn't recommend just like, you know, doing an X on here or stitching within a hands apart, because within that hands apart, you have a whole heck of a lot of 2-inch squares, you know? All right, that's it. I am done. Oh, I use, on here, I use 2.5 to 3.0, which somewhere in that range. 3.0 is about 10 stitches per inch, which is what I use on my quilting, is 10 stitches per inch. I think it looks a little bit more freer, unless I'm doing close stitching, then I do 12 to 14 stitches per inch, but obviously these aren't, you know, like, they're not getting pebbles or anything. All right, well, there it is. I am done. Thank you guys for hanging out with me while I did another binding video. I swear I have like 30 binding videos on my channel, probably. But I mean, I got to get the binding done sooner or later sometime. It can't just be making a big, huge pile like I just did, you know. And I can't always do it right after making it, which is what you guys, you can't always do the binding right after you finish quilting it. So you gotta take some time to do some other things. So at least it's done. I have one more left to quilt. And then when I get that done, I get that, or left to bind, and then more quilts. So whatever. Anyway, see you guys all. Thank you for hanging out. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead of you. Bye.